Ruth, will it light up when it starts recording?
I'm texting Jim's blank right now, actually.
Okay.
He usually lets me know.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
I just texted him.
Okay.
Okay, he says we're live now.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our Administrative Committee meeting, Tuesday, August 3rd. I'm going to start with a roll call. Rich Leja,
Here.
Scott Lennon,
Here.
and myself, Mary Beth Aranella, here, present. Okay, now I'm going to go with the open forum. Anyone who wants to come up and say something? We have the open forum.
Thank you so much.
welcome.
My name is Ray McMaher, and I am here today to kind of follow up on an issue that we raised at the Human Relations Committee a month ago. At that time, we had kind of extensively reviewed the City of Berwyn Employee Handbook and made several recommendations in order for the city policies to be more affirming to all of Berwyn residents, especially the LGBTQ community and people of color. And at the time, our notes were handed over from the Human Relations Committee to the Administrative Committee. So I first just wanted to ask if you had the opportunity to review our recommendations and kind of where you are in that process if you're choosing to implement any of them.
So we're going to go into the meeting, and then we're going to go over your notes
Okay.
that you attach to the handbook. Absolutely.
Great. So I guess I'm happy to kind of wait and hear what you're already thinking, but would it be all right if at that point we kind of ask some follow-up questions about what you are planning on doing with our suggestions?
I'm not sure if we do questions after the meeting. Sorry, this is all new for me. So I'm not sure if, I know that we do
I can help
open
out if you want.
forum. Sure.
So usually during the meetings right now would be the open forum where the public speaks, if you have any comments. Then during the actual discussion we have there on the agenda for discussion of the handbook, I actually went through all of those and I shared all those comments with the aldermen here in the committee. And I did a brief overview, and that's what we're going to be going over now. If you have any comments for afterwards, feel free to go ahead and you can email them to me or Mary Beth, and that way we could do that as a follow-up
Okay.
for another meeting. But they would definitely be addressed,
Okay.
so that would be the best way probably.
Okay. I guess just high level, are there certain recommendations that you are choosing to kind of move forward with, or others that you are not going to be implementing?
That's what we're discussing tonight.
Okay.
You'll
Yeah.
be able to hear
Yeah.
them.
And I don't have any say in any of this. Anything that gets approved needs to be approved by city council.
Okay.
So I'm just here to help out and add any information and context to the personnel handbook as I was behind putting it together. That's
Okay.
why I'm here.
Great. Thank you so much.
You want to, good? Okay. All right, so we're going to call the meeting to order.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Do I have to do another roll call?
No,
Okay.
you're fine.
Okay, so we're going to discuss the employee handbook. During our human relations meeting last month, we had some questions come up in regards to our handbook, our employee handbook, and we're going to go over some of those notes that were suggested for changes on the employee handbook.
And I'd like to say thank you for some of the feedback as well, because this is good information. I know our handbook is about 2 years old, 1.5 years old.
Yeah.
I know it was,
Yeah, it passed, I believe, in January 2020.
yeah.
Yes.
So
So it's
it's good to
pretty recent.
refresh, you
Yeah.
know, and go through this. I know Alderman Reardon worked on this with you and the other committee before to get this going, I believe.
No,
No?
no.
Okay. Because I know the handbook was really outdated last time. It was like really
That
late.
it was probably at least 20 years old, and
Okay.
that started under Brian Paps, and he had me work on that. And so I took it over after he left, and I finished it off because I knew it was important to get some clarity and updates, especially legally. And that's why I worked with our city attorney and also with other attorneys on this to make
Okay.
sure everything was good. Do you want me to just
Okay.
start up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So perfect. So at the last Human Relations meeting, there were submitted suggestions, and all of those were emailed to all the aldermen. I already printed out copies so you can refer to what we're looking at. I've also provided all of you with an employee handbook. And at the last meeting, what I suggested, since we have thousands of copies of these, I have this electronically already. Anything that the city council decides would want changed, I can make those basically automatically as soon as you say this is what we want, and I can do that, and that would change, and we would update that on the HR section of our website. That website basically has anything that deals with HR, personnel, insurance benefits, and especially the handbook. What we could do then also, just to save money, we could just go ahead and any addendums, you could always print those out on one page, and anytime that anyone is onboarded, it would be included with the handbook, that addendum that we could attach, and then if whatever's passed, I would go ahead and be able to send a citywide to all of our employees and staff an email with those to make everyone aware of any changes that would take place. So that would be the 3 different steps that I could go ahead and do, but I don't do anything unless it's approved by council.
Okay.
I'm here today just to go over those suggestions, and as city administrator, I also do the HR here for the city, so that falls under my department. And if you want, we can just go, did you want to go item by item? Is that what you prefer,
Yes.
Mary Beth?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So the first suggestion refers to page 5, and on our employee handbook, feel free to open it up. And it states that the sexual harassment policy should include a training requirement for all employees, and especially those with licensures through DPR in accordance with Public Act 100-0762. So the state actually passed a law probably a year and a half ago stating that harassment discrimination training is required on a yearly basis anyways by all of our employees. All of our employees already did this last year. This is state law. I don't know if we need to add it extra in here since it's already being followed, but because it is law. I'm in the process of making sure, I'm working with our EAP provider who helped us out last year with the training to make sure that all of our employees have this training already done by the end of the year as it's required by the state. So let me know if you want me to make any changes to that. Feel free to give me feedback now or afterwards. Just let me know if I need a pause during any of this. The second one was referred to on page 7 of the handbook. And there's the suggestion stated employees should not be obligated to do anything if they experience harassment. They shouldn't be encouraged to report and to do so as soon as possible, but this should not be required. They should have someone besides their supervisor to report to and never be compelled to report to law enforcement. So let me jump to page 7. You can also. So harassment can't be addressed unless it's reported. We don't know if it's happening if no one tells us. As mentioned in the last meeting, if someone feels uncomfortable speaking to a supervisor, they can go straight to me, the city administrator, who is responsible for HR. This has been done in the past by employees. And just so you know, also, we have many unions, and many times some employees will prefer to go straight to their union rep. and they will contact us directly also. So sometimes they feel more comfortable with the union rep, but the union rep always comes to us in the mayor's office. When it comes to the section that they refer to about reporting to law enforcement, that's directly for supervisors. So as a supervisor, if you're knowledgeable of a criminal act done by an employee, it's our responsibility to report to law enforcement, as we are liable. So if someone mentions to me that someone did something very egregious that is a criminal act, I can't just sit on it. That is not right. It's my responsibility to go ahead and move forward. So I don't know if that wasn't clear, that that's specifically for supervisors, but as a supervisor, that's our responsibility, and we're held accountable. So if someone does something horrible happen that's a criminal act, I have to report that and to law enforcement. Let me know if anyone has anything. Let me see. Oh, let me see. I disagree. It's everyone's responsibility to speak out if they see discrimination, harassment, or sexual misconduct. A couple years ago, we did that updated because it was requested by council, an updated sexual harassment discrimination policy, and that's what we included in here. And it was the goal of council to make sure that all of our employees understand that none of these acts are to be tolerated at any level. So I think when we say no one should accept any of this, everyone is responsible. If you want to make any changes, let me know. Page 8.
That was at the bottom of 7.
Correct. Let me see, page 8. They asked that we include the contact information for IDHR and EEOC. So we do have those two agencies documented in the handbook that people reach out to them. I easily found it with a Google search. It took me less than a minute. If anything, we can always put it on an addendum at the end, just with contact information. That's something that can be simply done. The next suggestion was for page 11. People are very unlikely to make false reports. The section is unnecessary and probably scares people away from making true reports more than anything. So in that section, page 11, it basically says, let me see. So it basically says that a false report is a report not made in good faith, which cannot be proven. So basically, a false report, in my opinion, is lying. And I don't think that informing people that there are repercussions for making false reports. In the legal world, I've always listened to my city attorney, and his number one thing he always tells me is truth is an absolute defense. So I feel like it's perfectly fine that what we have in here is to let people know that lying is wrong. It doesn't say that you're going to be fired, but if you lie, and a lot of times if people mislead and we have to go ahead and do an investigation on someone who's innocent, that's not right for the other person. So let me know if you want any changes made to that. Page 22. Personnel files shall reflect an employee's chosen name and gender identity, regardless of whether or not these have been legally changed, with the exception of documents that must match legal records such as tax and insurance documents. Our personnel records, the only time we ever really put anything in them is at onboarding or for payroll, any changes done for payroll reasons. We have a PAR, which is a personal action request form. That's when people get raises, changes of position, change of department. That's when those are done. We don't keep track of a person's gender identity, as it's not asked on any of our city forms. None of our city forms ask for someone's gender identity. The only time you'll find anything is for insurance carriers will ask, but that's on their personal forms that they need. At onboarding, we accept the employees' legal names that are provided, as we need this for payroll reasons and for federal forms like the I-9 form. Persons who legally change their names need to provide this to us for updating insurance and pension and benefits. So we don't use any of that for us personally here at the city. It's all for pensions, their benefits, any of those items. And they, for instance, when I got married, I decided to change my name. I had to have the legal documents submitted for the insurance to prove that. Otherwise, they wouldn't go ahead and make those changes.
If an employee wanted to change their ID to a different name, that would be okay?
An ID, if they decided to,
Like their,
no one's asked, but
Their
I wouldn't see
employee
any
ID.
problem with that. If that's what they're, if, you know. It hasn't been asked, but I wouldn't have any problems with that.
okay.
Let me see. Page 26 was the next one. Is gender affirming care explicitly covered in this policy? That is page 22, 26, let me jump to that real quick. Page 26, just basically, there's no policies there. It just tells us what benefits are offered to employees. So those benefits do cover medical and dental insurance. I reached out to our benefits administrator, and they informed us that our health insurance has medical policies to assist with gender affirming care, and the employee just needs to reach out to their provider for this care. On the HR section of our website, we have all the policies for health insurance for our workers. So that's covered.
So this would be Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Blue
correct?
Cross Blue Shield is our provider, correct, for healthcare. The next suggestion was made to page 31 and forward. That's where we have all of our different miscellaneous policies. I'll go item per item as they were mentioned. So the first suggestion was this section should add a policy on transitioning in the workplace. People can use whatever bathrooms that they are comfortable with. Right now, we don't have a bathroom policy. I believe the building director at City Hall is changing one of the washrooms to a gender-neutral bathroom. I know the library is also changing one of their employee bathrooms to gender-neutral, and I think they're going to be talking to their board about changing one of the public ones. But right now, we don't have anything. If you wanted something put in an addendum, please let me know.
For the bathrooms specifically?
For the bathrooms, yeah. We don't have nothing in our handbook mentions bathrooms at all right now. So if you want to add something, let me know and we can go ahead and do that.
Okay.
Let me see, the next item on there was can dress in gendered clothes they are comfortable in. So we actually have a section on dress code and appearance standards. That's section 5.07. So let me jump to there real quick. 5.07, so you can see what we have.
Page 34, right?
Page 34, correct. So it's a one-sentence statement. All employees are expected to dress appropriately and be groomed in keeping with standards as set forth by their immediate supervisor. So we already have something that covers, so I don't think we would have to add anything extra under miscellaneous policies, as we already have one. If you wanted to make changes to our policy, let me know. But it's pretty general, and most of our departments actually have uniforms. That's Public Works, the Police Department, Fire Department, and our building inspectors have uniforms. Those are all okayed by their unions. Public Works has it for safety reasons. PD and FD obviously for safety reasons, and there's reasons behind the PD for just functionality, and all of that's already been approved. City Hall employees, the majority over the last years, they've been provided with city logo shirts, which they get to choose themselves from a large, extensive catalog. There's no mention to any employee about gendered clothes. Uniforms are worn when required by a department. So really we give people an option if they want to get a city logo shirt. If not, the majority of the places already have uniforms. Our building inspectors have it for reasons so that when they go to a home, they can identify themselves as a city employee. That's the reason behind those. It makes residents feel more comfortable if they are approached by someone that they recognize in a uniform. But let me know if you want anything changed. Let me see. Then the next suggestion. Let me see. They asked to clearly outline a process in updating name, pronouns, gender marker. Let me see. In our HR section of our website, we have a form for updating names and addresses. And those are basically just used for, like I said, we pass those on to our benefits providers when they need changes for pensions, health insurance, life insurance, basically those. If you want anything else, let me know. More than happy to create a form, but just let me know how you want me to use it, because right now none of our personnel forms or anything actually ask anyone for their gender. So if you want us to start asking people for their gender identification, that you would need to let me know. So if actually, and people have asked in the past, if we ask for people's heritage or, any of that, we don't do that on anything either. So if you want us to start asking people, let us know, and I will look into it with our law department on legalities when it comes to that.
So number 9, page 45, about maternity leave or parental leave, on that?
Oh, you're jumping ahead.
Oh, I thought, no.
You're jumping ahead. I'm
All
going to
right.
get there.
We're on
Don't
page
confuse me.
All right.
I want, that way I don't miss anything.
Okay, okay.
Because I don't want to miss anything. So,
We're still on page 31.
yeah, there
We're
was a
gonna
whole
talk
list of,
about-
they were
Right.
all on lots of sticky notes, so I put those all together as they were
Right.
submitted. And these are all still all within those miscellaneous policies.
Correct.
Let me see.
We have the reaffirmed non-discrimination policies.
So, yes, let me see. So, okay, so it asks for reaffirming and non-discrimination policies. We already have a discrimination policy in here in our handbook. I don't know if you think it's needed multiple times within the handbook, because sometimes it might make confusion. Because when I go ahead and look at the handbook, I go straight to the table of contents. And I look for that, whatever that subject matter that I'm looking for. So if you put discrimination in 2 different sections, the same policy, it might be confusing to people. I think it's easier just to have it in one spot, just for clarity reasons for employees when they're looking for it.
So do we have it in the front or towards the back?
We have, there's a whole, that's the one that was updated by the previous alderman. They had a committee specifically for the discrimination. Let me see. Let me go to my table of contents that I mentioned. Let me see. So,
9.039?
I'm sorry, repeat that once more?
9.0310? Or no, I'm sorry. 9.039.
39. Oh, no, that deals with IT. That
Okay.
whole section's IT. So basically, it falls under, they could have changed it, sexual harassment policy, and that whole thing actually goes into discrimination. That was the title that was given by the previous committee when they came up with it. And in there, it does talk about all discrimination, and
So-
not just sexual. So if you want, we could do an addendum if you want, just to clarify.
To separate the two, sexual
Not-
harassment and then discrimination?
No, just to clarify and just change the title,
Okay.
because that policy covers all discrimination. The second paragraph goes right into it. So the
What-
city
what
will
page was
neither,
that?
page 5, that is section 1.06. It says, the title sexual harassment policy, but that actually includes all discrimination also. So if anything, in an addendum, we could always just clarify that section 1.06 be changed to include sexual harassment and discrimination, or however you want me to put it.
Okay.
And if you want something extra, let me know, and you can let me know what kind of policy you want to come up with. and we could always put that in an addendum.
That would be good.
Right.
So feel free to work on something, and we can easily do that. Let me jump back real quick. The next suggestion was medical leave can be used for gender-affirming medical care. Let me see. Let me jump to where that was. Okay, so section 6.08.6, let me jump to that. That goes about our major medical leave and what is the policy regarding that. So I'll tell you which page it's on. Give me a moment. Page 44. It goes into 45. So has the whole major medical leave there. As long as there's a doctor's note saying that that says that an employee needs to be on leave for a medical reason, the leave's granted. For HIPAA violations, I don't go into details. I need to find that out. All I need them for me is to fill out an FMLA form, and that's pretty general, and they just tell me what time period that the employee needs off, and then I process that paperwork. So these leaves, any medical leave coincides with FMLA leave. They run simultaneously. FMLA gives you the full 12 weeks and it starts on the first day that you take off. So we can always put an addendum to spell out that gender-affirming medical care is covered, if that's what you wish, to say that that's included as major medical leave. Just let me know and we can put that in an addendum. Then the next one in here was suggestion for miscellaneous ones was employees have the right to update their records with their chosen name with or without legal name changes unless the document requires legal name. As mentioned already, the only reason we ever ask for updates for names is for benefits reasons, pension, payroll, insurance. The persons we share the name change with require their legal names. That's just how the insurance companies and pension boards work. Let's see.
What number was that? on
That
the
was,
sheet here?
it's still on the bottom. See this whole thing right here?
Yeah, but it was.
So
at
right
number 10?
above number 8. We're
Ah,
still working off of
okay.
that whole page 31.
Got it.
So that was the last point on that.
Okay.
Then let me flip the page to the next suggestion. And that would be referenced to page 34 in your handbook. So the suggestion was dress and appearance standards should be clearly defined and determined with community input. If left up to individual supervisors, decisions may be made based on racist or transphobic beliefs rather than actual standards of professionalism. So I honestly don't think the public should determine what city employees wear. Uniforms are used for practicality and safety reasons, and that's for the majority of all of our city employees. Have those uniforms for safety and practicality reasons. To my knowledge, in the past 12 years that I've worked in the mayor's office, there has not been any complaints made by employees that of any dress codes are racist or transphobic. Any changes to the dress code will have to be approved by the unions also, just to keep that in mind. So if you want to add something, let me know.
Do employees, I probably should know this, wear shirts with certain sayings on them or whatever, like T-shirts or whatever? I mean, that could be something we look at.
The majority don't wear anything with logos unless for a fun thing, they decide, let's have a sports day.
Okay.
And so like sometimes you'll notice the collector's office, they do themed things if employees decide to join in and do that. That's just for morale reasons, just to have fun.
Okay.
Our employees like to have fun here too.
So
We're
basically-
more than happy to service you, but it's nice to have fun while you're working too. So, but otherwise, I really haven't seen myself personally. The only places you would see would be over at the library. I think I have to check their policies over there. I think they have dress policies, but everything was approved by the unions. And the union's very strong over there at the library.
Okay.
So just, if we want to make changes, we definitely have to check in with the unions on them.
So the city shirts, they just have the
Oh,
emblem?
yeah, here, an example.
Okay, just that.
Yeah. So the air conditioning is always really hot, cold in there, so that's why I decided to get a long sleeve. But there's a book with like 1,000 options plus for employees to choose from if they decide to. Let me see. Okay, the next suggestion was for page 45 of your handbooks. Let me jump there real quick. We have a section that's called maternity leave. I'd advise that instead of changing maternity leave to parental leave, that it should just be changed to pregnancy leave. Parental leave is covered under FMLA. So the only reason we have that maternity, it's the police union contract has the title of pregnancy leave, and I'd be fine with changing it to that. But FMLA does cover all of parental leave in itself. So all of that qualifies. It's up to you. Most places, like I was curious to see what other communities are doing. So I went and did a quick FOIA. I shared that with you, Mary Beth, like Oak Park. I'm like, okay, let's see what they're doing. They don't have any paid maternity, anything like that. Everything is FMLA, and people have to use their own benefits. So so basically theirs just falls under FMLA. Only recently has the federal government for federal employees decided to give parental leave, but I haven't seen any municipalities or the state or anyone else do a paid leave for parental. So let me know if you want to change that, but that would be something to take it into. If you decide to do any paid parental leaves in which they wouldn't be using their benefits that they already have, then that would be something that the budget committee would need to look at, because that would make a substantial dent.
Does the federal government pay?
Yes, they just passed that.
Okay.
I noticed at the beginning of the year. Let me jump to the next one. We're getting close to the end here.
Did they state how much they would give as part of the leave?
Oh, I'm sure they did. I just didn't pay attention to that part. I could always look. It's a quick Google.
Yeah,
I can find that for you if you like.
That's okay, I can do it.
Okay, page 45, it says, parents may request parental leave. Request for parental leave shall be granted and governed. That already falls under our FMLA. So they can feel free to use any benefits they want, and they have, FMLA covers you for 12 weeks per year, per a 12-month period. The next section refers to page 47. That is the FMLA section. And there it says to change all instances of son or daughter to child and mother or father to parents. Let me see what I put here. This actually goes, it's actually found on page 48 to 49. So that was a misprint on where I did on the other one. So if council wishes, we can just go ahead and do an addendum clarifying that son or daughter is replaced by child, mother, father replaced to parent, and brother, sister replaced to sibling. That's
Yeah.
something
Yes.
that can be
Yes.
done simply. Just let me know afterwards, give me a to-do list,
Okay.
and that way I love checking off things off a list. That's one of my favorite things to do. So page 59 is the next one. Let me turn here, give me a second. Okay, page 59, in here it follows up where the complaint goes with the whole list of examples of offenses which may result in disciplinary action under our progressive discipline procedure. So this list just gives 22 examples. Number 21 example of things that shouldn't be done are it should probably say of wearing of sunglasses, headsets, or personal radios in working areas without prior permission from your supervisor. The suggestion or the comment says that this rule is ableist because people may use things like sunglasses or headsets because they are disabled. This section should include, okay, so let me jump to my comment on that one real quick. Number 21 is placed there for safety reasons. You don't want people especially with your drivers, you want to be careful on what they're using. Inside an office, you don't want people wearing sunglasses that way, just so people can see them face to face. If for any medical reasons they need to, there's a simple ADA accommodation and there would be no problem. If you want us to,
Should we list that right here for special accommodations? Could we add that?
it says without prior permission from your supervisor. So I mean, if you ask your supervisor, hey, for this reason, I need to wear it, that's fine. But this is only telling you reasons why you might get in trouble.
Sure.
So if you decide to do something, like wearing sunglasses as you're dealing with a customer or a resident, and you don't have any reason besides, I feel like it for a fashion statement, then obviously you could get written up because, but if you have a reason for it, you ask permission, then you wouldn't have any reason to get written up. That's basically all it's saying. So get permission if you want to change any, if you need to make a change to your uniform, you got to get approval. That's basically what it comes down to. Let me know if you want me to add anything else to that. The second comment was they wanted, this section should include something like any harassing or discriminating behavior towards another employee or a visitor, including repeatedly misgendering them. So, let me see where. So that could be an example. Let me see. That could actually easily be placed in an addendum. So if you want to do that, just to let people know, here is another reason you might get in trouble if you do this. We can easily put that in an addendum. Let me know.
Let's add that one.
Okay, put that on my to-do list, please.
Okay.
And I think that covers everything that was given to us. And that's just my overview of our handbook and the context of where it comes from. As I mentioned, all addendums can be distributed to employees per citywide email to all staff. They can also be printed and added onto handbooks when people are onboarded. And we can make those electronic changes and update the online version as soon as anything is approved by council. I'm just here to support and make sure that anything that council and the mayor want moved forward, I am here to assist with that. So, does anyone have any questions on my overview?
Do you want us to give you our thoughts and recommendations and email them to you?
Yes,
And
please
then-
do. Follow up with me, let me know what you want as a committee.
Okay.
Then I'll look into it with legal and see what process we need to do. If that, we need to put something specific per council, like if you wanted to do a separate discrimination policy, separate from the sexual harassment, we can easily do that, but we need to figure out who's going to write it and what the content you want to put in it. That way, that would need to get approved by council. So just put together a to-do list, and then I'll review it with the mayor and our legal department. And I'll follow up with you on how then we can proceed to make whatever happen that you want.
Okay.
So, and just as a quick follow-up, we did update, I mentioned to you last time, we were updating our application for employment. We already did that online. I'm just waiting for the paper copies. And I worked with our attorney on that, and we just updated a few things, just for recent laws, and just to have a clean copy. One of the ones was that you're not allowed to ask anyone what they were making previously, so our printed copies, we put X's through all that, but we had updated that previously. And then at the beginning, the other change, they asked that we add, our attorneys asked that we add equal access to program services and employment is available to all persons. Those applicants requiring reasonable accommodation to complete the application and or participate in the interview process should notify a representative human resource department. And then there's one other thing, because there was a law that was passed last year that you can't, regarding people if they were convicted, we just added a section that they're not required to disclose a record of conviction that hasn't been expunged or sealed, and that the conviction alone will not result in disqualification for employment. So there was a change in law, so we did that. And then previously, it had been asked that any time that the word preference was used, we take it out. So that's also being changed in the fine print at the end when we changed our equal employment opportunity wording section. That was also changed. So that's already been updated on our website, on the HR section, And, oh, I have to make sure it's done in both sections, but I know in our employment section, it's been changed. And then also, we're just waiting for the printouts so I can hand those out. But the majority of people actually just go online and fill it out.
Okay, thank you for all that.
Yep.
So should we,
Any questions?
put our thoughts together, send them to Ruth,
Yeah.
and then schedule another meeting to kind of finalize our thoughts?
Yeah,
And then we then bring it to council after that?
no, exactly. So as soon as you send me all of your suggestions, like I said, I'll run it by the mayor and by our legal department, then I'll respond to all of you in an email and let you know where we stand and how to proceed. So before you have any other meeting, if you can all just say, hey, yeah, we do want to update and add a special section on discrimination, then, I mean, you might want to work on that first before coming back with what you all say.
Sure.
Right.
Should we do that now, here? Or if we
Well,
have
I think
ideas what we want
if
to change?
we have to decide if we're gonna do a whole discrimination policy, or we're gonna keep it with the sexual harassment
And just-
policy and add
Just change the
different
title.
verbiage. Right.
So, yeah, so let me
So
know
we
how
have to
you want.
discuss that amongst ourselves and decide how we're gonna do that.
And then send it to Ruth?
And then send it to Ruth, right.
Yeah,
Because if we're gonna create a whole discrimination policy, then there's more to that.
Oh, okay. we
last
can't.
time they did the sexual harassment policy or whatever, they actually did a committee, and they brought in different people,
Oh, I
and
see.
they sat
Okay.
down, and they said, here's some examples that others have used, we want to add this.
Okay.
Then everything, any policies always run through our legal department to make sure that everything is on the up and up.
Okay.
And then that committee can review it again, make sure they're happy with it, and then if they are, then they can go ahead and bring it to council. That's what was done the last time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I don't know if maybe if you want to go ahead and put together a quick ad hoc meeting, ad hoc committee specifically to address the discrimination policy, if you want to create the creation of one. And then as soon as that's done, then the ad hoc is done because they've already served their purpose.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're gonna adjourn the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
6:44.